Well, I'll tell you, we're waiting for a news conference up on Capitol Hill. The senators who helped pass this repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, Senators Lieberman and Susan Collins, one of the Republicans one of 6 who voted for this to push it over the edge. As we do, wait for that, let's bring in Aaron Belkin, who studies, I guess, gays in the military at UC Santa Barbara. You've studied Don't Ask, Don't Tell for more than a decade now. Let me just first get your reaction to what's happened in Washington this afternoon.
Well, I was listening to the feed a minute ago on my earpiece, and I teared up. So that's my reaction. This is a historic day, and some people don't realize, but the first soldier kicked out of the military for being gay was 232 years ago. So it's been a very long march towards equality.
And do you expect the military to implement this immediately and accept it fully?
The military will accept it fully. As for timing, that's going to be the next round of debate. Frankly, the secretaries and the military's demands for an extended period of time to quote-unquote get ready or prepare or train are not at all based on what they need. That is unfortunately political obstructionism from the service chiefs. The military can train the entire forces in a matter of weeks, and in fact, the troops don't need to be trained on how to deal with gays and lesbians. They're already serving with gays and lesbians today, and they're interacting just fine. So what the research shows is that if they go quickly, they won't have a problem.
Based on your research, and we've been talking about this with Barbara Starr from her own observations out in Afghanistan especially, the younger troops don't really consider this an issue at all. Well,
70% of the troops told the Pentagon surveyors that they already serve with gays, and of those, 92% say that they don't have a problem, and that, as you say, includes our combat forces and our Marines in Afghanistan and Iraq. So you're right. The frankly crazy rhetoric that we hear from opponents does not at all match the data or the reality on the ground. This is not going to be a problem. It was not a problem for our 25 allies who changed, and it's not going to be a problem for us.
Aaron, I want to read for you what we just got a statement from Secretary Robert Gates. The Secretary says that I welcome today's vote by the Senate, clearing the way for a legislative repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Once this legislation is signed into law by the President, the Department of Defense will immediately proceed with the planning necessary to carry out this change carefully and methodically, but purposefully. He writes that, as I have stated before, I will approach this process deliberately and will make such certification only after careful consultation with the military service chiefs and our combatant commanders, and when I am satisfied that those conditions have been met for all the services, commands, and units. It is therefore important that our men and women in uniform understand that while today's historic vote means that this policy will change, the implementation and certification process will take an additional period of time. In the meantime, the current law and policy will remain in effect. I know you have a point of view here, Aaron, but what possibly is he talking about?
Well, it's not a point of view, actually. It's based on the data and the research. The Pentagon doesn't need to plan for repeal. The Pentagon was forced to repeal the ban for about a week, 2 months ago, by a court order, and the Secretary predicted there would be enormous consequences, and that's a quote. And in fact, there were no disruptions whatsoever. What the research by the Rand Corporation and others shows is that if you want to open yourself up to problems, you'll do exactly what the Secretary is recommending now, which is to go slowly. If you want a smooth transition, you snap your fingers, issue the order, and you're done. That's the way to have a smooth transition and minimize disruption. That's what the research shows.
I guess what I'm asking you is what, in the minds of Secretary Gates, what possible procedures need to change?
Oh, well, again, this is not a legitimate need or call for procedures or training. This is political obstructionism, and frankly, the new regulations have already been drafted. the training module that they need to put in place to supposedly teach the troops how to deal with gays will last all of about 2 hours. It's going to be a very simple training. It's not going to, the troops don't need a PhD in how to work with gays. And so if you actually read the Pentagon's 100-page implementation plan, it boils down to a simple message, which is just that they need strong leadership and a set of rules that apply to everybody, but they already have strong leaders and a set of rules that apply to everybody. They could implement the policy change tomorrow without problem in the same way they did several months ago when the court ordered them to suspend the ban, and they did without problem.
Aaron Belkin, thanks for joining us, director of the Center for the Study of Sexual Minorities in the Military at University of California, Santa Barbara. Josh, you've been monitoring all the electronics over there to see what people are saying. What are people reacting to this?